I want to go to that point that I discussed with Eric Holder last night. In 24 hours, the story's changed a lot because now there's Jack Smith. Now we know who we're talking about. Knowing what you know about the evidence in Georgia, does it include overlapping evidence for a federal investigation? And would you expect Jack Smith to be investigating what Donald Trump was doing on the phone with the Georgia Secretary of State?
Well, I think that's something we've got to wait and see. Certainly, he'll have all of the tools to be able to investigate the federal crimes that may have resulted from what happened in Georgia. And I do think there is some overlap, but obviously Mr. Smith will have a much broader platform and scope to investigate, to include all of the things that happened outside of Fulton County and outside of Georgia. Those things are outside of the Fulton County District Attorney's jurisdiction.
So, you know, we know that you're a colleague of Fani Willis and you're a friend of hers, and you've worked kind of side by side, county to county, as prosecutors. Would you say that you think you approach the law in the same way that she does?
I think there's a lot of similarities. Certainly, calling in a special grand jury was an important step. It allows her not only to have the subpoena power that we've talked about previously on this show, but it also gives her a preview into what the residents of her county and a potential criminal grand jury, as well as a potential regular jury, if we happen to get that far, a jury of 12 that would determine guilt or innocence. It gives a preview as to how ordinary folks, non-lawyers, folks that are not in law enforcement, would view this evidence.
So you and some other legal co-authors published a document on Monday with the Brookings Institution, an analysis of the possible criminal liability Donald Trump could be facing in Fulton County. And here's what you listed: solicitation to commit election fraud, intentional interference with performance of election duties, interference with primaries and elections, conspiracy to commit election fraud, making false statements, improperly influencing government officials, forgery in the first degree, criminal solicitation, racketeering. Is it possible that Fani Willis would see this evidence in a way dramatically different from the way you look at it?
Well, I think anything is possible. And remember, the Brookings report is based on the information that is publicly available. So what was in the press, what we've heard people talk about in the press, what we've heard from testimony or through testimony from the January 6th investigation in Congress. Fani has much more power. She has the power to actually bring witnesses in before the grand jury to subpoena documents that can either support or controvert their testimony. And so while we are passing judgment or providing analysis on what is available for public consumption, I am quite sure there is a lot that we don't know yet, and only Fani and her team know. So she's going to be able to evaluate all of that first level evidence, actual evidence, and make a decision as to whether charges are appropriate. And if so, which ones out of the list that you just read might be viable in this particular case.
You also entertained possible Trump defenses, as Andrew Weissman did in his federal document for the documents case. He drafted something similar. And I didn't find anything on the defense side of the presentation that seemed convincing.
Well, and again, that's something we're going to have to wait and see. We laid out some of the most likely defenses that we think a defense team would bring up, including an attempt to remove the case to federal court, claims of immunity. And as we can tell, again, based on public evidence, Fani and obviously the defense team may have access to other evidence that is not publicly known yet. So there may be new and different defenses or new and different twists, but that is something that is all going to unfold as we hear from the special grand jury when they release their report, and whether there are indictments, and if so, for which charges and against whom. Remember, it's not just the former president here. We looked at several other folks in his circle that may potentially have some criminal liability.
What is the potential timetable in front of us now that would end with a possible indictment in this process?
Well, again, remember, Fani has a full 12 months from, I think it's June, to run this grand jury. I think publicly she has said she would like to try to wrap it up this year. I think that depends a lot on how things go with some of the remaining subpoenas and witnesses that she's trying to get to testify. But she has a sitting criminal grand jury for the November-December term. So if the special grand jury issues a report in the next 6 weeks or so that would recommend charges with a little bit of turnaround time in terms of creating the documents, Fani might be able to present an indictment as early as this year. And again, that's all based on what evidence she has and whether she has enough to actually establish all of the elements for the charges.
And just quickly before we go, is this the kind of presentation where all possible indictments would come out at once, or there might be a set of indictments, just for example, against Rudy Giuliani, and then later indictments against someone else?
Well, and again, I think that's a strategic decision. Certainly, if we see a RICO charge of any kind, I can imagine that that would be all-encompassing to allow the DA to tell the full story and everybody's part in it, based on her allegations. But it's always possible to have separate indictments, particularly if you're looking to see if someone is interested in either flipping for the state or you want to provide them some immunity. And so you create that separation to be able to do so.